I just finished watching Clint Eastwood's Sully. While in many ways this is not necessarily the type of film that I find to be spectacular, this one proved itself to be quite a masterpiece. Hello, and welcome back to another installment of Film Friday, in which I review a new film every single week. This week we are looking at the 2016 film entitled Sully, starring Tom Hanks and Aaron Eckhart. As always, this may contain some spoilers, so consider yourself warned. Let's get into it. This film portrayed the dramatic events of an emergency landing which Captain Sullenberger was forced to make on the Hudson River, an event which did take place in real life. Just after taking off from LaGuardia Airport, the plane is struck in both engines by a flock of birds, rendering the aircraft incapable of flight. Realizing that he did not have enough altitude to make it safely back to either LaGuardia or JFK airports, Captain Sullenberger makes the split-second decision to land on the Hudson River. Incredibly, not a single life was lost in the crash, and the event was nicknamed the Miracle on the Hudson. But this film was about more than just the crash itself. Aptly named Sully, it was more of a personal look at Captain Sullenberger and the PTSD that he suffered in the weeks following the events of the crash. It also explored how his decision to crash land in the middle of the Hudson River almost cost him his career and his reputation. As an experienced pilot, Sullenberger knew in the moment that he did not have the time or the altitude to make it back to land safely on either of those airports. And so, for the safety of the passengers and the citizens of New York City, the only option was to land on the river. However, the National Transportation Safety Board claimed that this was a case of pilot recklessness, given that computer simulations showed that he would have had enough time to return to either airports, and that in fact one of the engines may not have been fully destroyed by the bird strike. Because of this, the film ended up being part thriller and part legal drama, and in fact it was the court scenes and the legal proceedings which drove the story forward, while the events of the crash were actually told through a series of flashbacks. And while this is a potentially fragile balance to strike, the film pulled it off incredibly well. There was never any confusion about which events were taking place in the present moment and which were events from the past. In fact, these flashbacks actually helped to improve the pacing of the film and tied together the narrative very well. And the film portrayed the dramatic events of this landing with remarkable intensity. Even having the prior knowledge of what happened in real life, I still found this to be suspenseful and gripping. This was accomplished partly due to the cinematography and the well-paced editing, and partly due to the soundtrack. Captain Sullenberger and his co-pilot Jeff Skiles were played by Tom Hanks and Aaron Eckhart respectively, the latter of whom I believe I've only ever seen in The Dark Knight. Overall, a great score, great sound design, decent cinematography, and incredible true story come together to make this film an 8 out of 10. It is well worth watching no matter what type of movie you enjoy, although it is probably most enjoyable if you have an interest in aviation. And be forewarned, some moments are rather intense. With that being said, thank you for watching, be sure to comment your own thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more movie commentary and reviews.